Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Levin. Boy, we have a show for you tonight. I had to tell my co-host tonight, Doc Polite, let's save it for the show because we started getting into something that I hope that the general's father, and I'm talking about none other than Greg Jackson Sr., that's in Duval County, I hope that he calls into the show tonight because I think he can settle this once and for all. But hey, for those of you who tuned in to Let's Talk Nation, we want to welcome you. We want to thank you. And Doc Polite, co-host and sitting in for the general tonight. What you got going on, Doc?
Man, I'm getting the sun beat me down out there in that backyard. I'm remodeling my backyard. Man, listen, life is amazing. I was telling my neighbor the other day, I said, it's amazing to me. Here I am, a black kid, a black guy, born in the projects, actually talking about he remodeling his backyard. I never thought I'd be doing stuff like that in suburbia. So, life has a different gear. You just gotta live it.
You gotta live it, man. You gotta put yourself in that space in that place.
Yeah, and I'm spending some money back there. You know how you're the king of backyard, so.
Well, hey, no, I'm the king of eliminating all that other stuff that's in the backyard because I don't mess around with them snakes.
Oh, okay.
Hey, yeah, you got the pergola and all that stuff, man. Come on, I just want to be able to go back there, man, and grill, put some seafood on, watch the game, do that kind of stuff. You like watching things grow and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, we extended it. We extended that patio out, and then we're going to extend it to the side with a fire pit area, and then the rest of it is garden. We got fruit trees out there. We got mango trees, banana trees. We got grape vines. And you got a little vineyard.
Yeah, I hear you, man. You got it a little bit of all. Hey, but tonight we're not going to just be talking about what's taking place around the state, around the country. We're going to talk a little bit of basketball too, and that's where I think Doc and I are going to find ourselves in some conflict. But Doc, we also have joining us that's not in front of a camera, but what do you call him, Doc? What's his new name?
Mondo Sometimes.
Mondo Sometimes. And it's Mondo Sometimes because what?
Because sometimes he here and sometimes he not.
What's up, guys? I'm here.
Hey, Mondo, how you doing this evening?
But he always on time, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's always on time. But Mondo was talking about something earlier when we were talking about superstars. And yeah, we'll come back full circle and have this conversation. And I'm going to just go ahead and say it. He started talking about Isaiah Thomas. And there's two Isaiah Thomases out there. The one that came up in our era, and there's another one that came up in Amondo's era. So we'll find out a little bit later on about which one he was talking about. But before we go there, hey Doc, there's a lot of things taking place, man. Do you realize that Florida has almost 90 to 100 new laws that will be taking effect come July 1?
I know.
Hey, but
it's gonna be. It's going to be something else, and the early estimates about the property tax things is $120 billion that municipalities will lose.
100, man, that's a big number, Doc. It can't be
120 billion.
It can't be. Want me to tell you why it can't be?
Why?
Because the state entire budget is about 116 billion.
No. I'm saying collectively.
Okay, the last number that I saw
across the state.
Okay, well,
you get what I'm saying?
100 million, Doc. Think about the state budget is 115, 116.
No, we're not talking about budget. I'm talking about lost tax revenue from property tax.
Okay, I can't get my arms on that. It'll be 100 billion.
Okay.
I'm thinking
they're two different. They two. Now I'm surprised you ain't grasping that. They're two different pots.
But it is two different pots of doc. That's a good. You bringing up a good topic because I don't want to go too deep into it, but I think people need to realize the difference between the two. When you look at how state revenue is generated, it's generated predominantly through sales tax.
Yeah, exactly. But also fees and things like that.
Yeah, fees and sales tax. But then if you look at local municipal governments, the majority of its revenue is generated from property taxes, whether that property tax be residential or commercial.
Yeah, well, I saw that this morning, and they throw out numbers, so I can't say that. Well, right now I'm looking at a number that says 8.59 billion annually.
And that is around the ballpark, in the range, that I've been seeing. I saw something anywhere from 4 billion to about 8 billion. So that's in the ballpark. And, Doc, it's a lot of conversation. And, when this thing goes on the ballot, I'm sure that you're going to see this thing is going to get a lot of fight. It's going to get a lot of fight for, and I think it's going to have a lot of fight against.
Yes, that's what. Oh, that's what it was. Economists said, and this is in the Sentinel. Florida economists project cities and counties to lose $12 billion under property tax plan. I know I wasn't hallucinating.
You said 100.
Did I?
You said
I'm sorry, 12 billion.
So you're in the ballpark.
Hey, that heat, man, that heat got me hallucinating.
Hey, you got to get out of that backyard.
I know, right?
Hey, but Doc, that is going to be.
I stand corrected.
Hey, but here's the other thing. But here's the other thing. I mean, and you hit on a real good point because now we were able to have a conversation with everybody about the difference in how state revenue is generated and how local government revenue is generated. One is generated predominantly with sales tax, and the other, well, as you mentioned, sales tax and certain fees. And the other, when we talk about local government, is generated with residential and commercial property tax, as well as a mix of different fees and assessments.
You know what I think, and again, I give leeway to you because this is your wheelhouse more than mine, the legislation aspect of state government. But I would think a balanced budget amendment for cities and counties would have been a better track to go down and enforce rather than eliminating property tax. What's your take?
But when you say balanced budget, Doc, all governmental entities except Washington, D.C., live by a mandate of balancing their budget. I mean, they have to have balanced budgets every year. That's why they either have the legislative session or in local government, you have your commissions, you got your city councils, things of that nature. I think what this is saying, Doc, and I mean, you got people arguing on both sides, but
yeah,
what it's saying is a belt tightening exercise. What local governments are saying that services are going to suffer. Some of the other, and I'm not gonna come out here and sway anybody one way or the other, but some of the things that are being discussed is you have some incorporated municipalities, and I'm gonna just say right here in Orange County that when you have a population that makes up your incorporation of 2,500, 3,000, some of the questions that are going to come into play now, if they don't, then they need to really look at accountability. But some of the questions that may very well come into play is, should an incorporated municipality that size, should it still be unincorporated, or should it be brought into unincorporated underneath county governance? I mean, these are some of the things that's going to be, I think, you're going to have to take a real hard look at them.
Well, we have our own if you will, canary in the coal mine here in Central Florida. When property taxes dry up or are not enough, and it greatly impacts the municipality. And you know what town I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well.
Okay.
And you know what, Doc? Respectfully, the same town that you're talking about, and we're not throwing out the names, but it especially hurts when you have the highest millage rate, not just in the state, but comparably in the country.
Well, it's not. Listen, it's not good management. Number one, they got a church problem. They got too many churches over there. Those churches don't pay taxes, and that's a huge problem. You know, and you know, there's a such Doc, thing as being Doc, a good. Huh?
So Doc, and not to interrupt you, but I'm gonna put a little meat on the bones when you say that. And again, I'm not taking sides one way or the other, but when you mention churches, people oftentimes have the traditional sense of this large institution, but you're absolutely correct. You have churches that are in homes that are off the tax rolls.
And I get that. I absolutely understand that. But it's just like you would treat them just like you treat a certain segment of the population that can't afford to pay taxes. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there will be a level at which they find themselves paying those taxes. I'm not saying tax every church out of existence. What I'm saying is everybody needs to pay their fair share. Okay, based on what they take in and all of that. You know, if a church is only collecting, let's say, $50,000 a year, and they got their operating expenses and all of that, and it's a negative income, then of course they don't pay any taxes. Mm-hmm. I'm not advocating just forcing them. What I'm saying is balance the thing. You got churches out there that have multiple streams of income. And see, and the problem with me is it's about being a good citizen. At some point, we want to treat businesses in many aspects and institutions like people. Well, there's such a thing as being a good neighbor. If you as a entity are doing business in a municipality and that municipality is struggling, why can't you help? Why Doc, shouldn't you not help?
But here's the other side of it. And Doc, I hear what you're saying, but here's the other side of it. And I don't know, Doc, and you probably have heard this terminology used before. And I will say this before I even go down that path. I'm familiar with it, but I'm not as in-depth about it. And that is, people often talk about a consumption tax as well, that you're paying based on your consumption of common areas or common needs. So, right. That's the other side of it. Think about this, Doc, because schools education was exempt from this property tax reform. But you have individuals that have no children, or their children are no longer children and they're adults, and they're sitting back thinking and saying that, hey, I'm paying this tax for education, but I don't have any kids, I don't have any children. So it cuts both ways. I mean, when you talk about a consumption tax, you're talking about using the roads and when you go to the gas station and you're purchasing fuel, those are things that you're being. I mean, it's almost also to the extent similar to a sales tax. I mean, you're being taxed based on the items that you're buying for products.
Your use, yeah. And that should take place. Nobody should get a free ride.
And Doc, I think
nobody should get a free ride. I mean, we all need to collectively to help, because we, those church people often live outside of that community, but they use their roads, right? Mm-hmm. And so other
Doc,
amenities.
So Doc, what is your call? What do you think? Because it's going to have 60% or better to actually pass?
I think people are going to vote for it because they don't understand the gravity of what's going to happen. I think it will get repealed after maybe 3 years
Wow,
because
I hadn't heard anybody. I hadn't heard anybody throw that out there, Doc. Why? No, before you go forward, why do you think it would be repealed? I'm just curious because I hadn't heard anybody even mention that.
Let me tell you my favorite analogy. Like Mike Tyson say, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality. When that punch comes, when you can't afford to keep the schools open or auxiliary activities and amenities that we don't look at right now as critical to things like the arts and schools and things like that. You know, we're not looking at it that way. When there's no money to run them or even have them.
Well, Doc, I think it's going to be real interesting because you're going to see individuals that are looking at, I mean, particularly individuals on fixed incomes too. You know, when they look at one of the biggest items that they pay out annually is their property tax. So I think you're going to see individuals on fixed incomes that are going to be looking at their interest. I mean, a couple of things that have been brought up about this. How is it going to impact and affect public safety? And when I say public safety, I'm talking about law enforcement. I'm talking about the fire department, ambulance services, things of that nature. And to my knowledge, that is not per se directly impacted or affected. But if you got to tighten your belt because you want to make sure that you prioritize what you might call critical services, then it's going to be some belt tightening.
Yeah, it's gonna be more than belt tightening. I mean, the reality is that I think one of the things that the average taxpayer is looking at is how out of control government spending seems to be. Mm-hmm. And that's why people are reacting to it. Governments in many ways make you feel as if they don't have a control over their spending. They're spending for this, you know, a dog park. And when I was a boy, you just let the damn dog out in the yard and he parked himself. Okay. He ran back there and peed on a tree and kept going.
Hey, coming from a person who doesn't own an animal right now.
But I've had dogs. We had dogs growing up.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Doc,
the dog didn't sleep in nobody's bed. That dog stayed outside. And you know, I always laugh at my wife because they had a dog in Jamaica. Guess what the dog name was?
What's that?
Dog.
Come here, dog.
They call, but now they had cats too, but the cats had names for some reason.
Yeah, but you know, at a few of the networking, business networking functions that I attended over the last couple of months while these discussions were taking place, you have local businesses that were kind of thinking back to COVID, and you got some business owners that had to rebrand themselves. They had to kind of step back and figure out how did they retool their business so that they could coexist through the pandemic. And just doing this networking function and the discussion came up about, property tax reform. And you just mentioned it yourself, Doc. And I think that is something that's going to have to really be discussed by local governments. You got small businesses that were saying all the while that they had to retool to survive, and some of them went under, they were saying that they were looking at government and government didn't, wasn't impacted.
No, they weren't. Exactly. They were oblivious.
Yeah.
They were oblivious because they spend, and it's not just one or two. The majority of them spend like they got a blank checkbook and they can write any amount of a check.
So Doc,
And
if you would,
and then here, let me say this. Let me add this. The problem with it is that in many instances, government is actually getting into the business of who wins and who loses. Okay, and they shouldn't be in that arena. And that's where a lot of this money is going, deciding who gets this and who can't get this. The government
Doc, I'm not gonna fall for it, Doc, because you about to get me off this chair going down that path.
I know, but I didn't say that. I didn't say that to trigger you. I'm saying it because it is factual, and that's the problem. Our governments have become so big and so intrusive that they are now playing kingpin and dynasty makers, and a government should not be. It should be absolutely neutral. You, like they say, you eat what you kill. That means every business owner needs to get out there, and if they want to eat, they need to kill it themselves. They shouldn't have no handouts. There shouldn't be no programs. I'm serious. I never got a program.
I hear you, and I don't disagree with you, except for the fact that, Doc, a lot of the Fortune 500 companies got their start from government, and government knowing its place, whereby government should not be the end all be all. Let me say that.
And it's an entitlement, Rod. We got a friend that told us a story some years ago about they went to a function and you had some formerly incarcerated individual, okay, returning citizens. That's an oxymoron. But and the person said that they were approached by someone who said, "Well, what about me? I'm coming back. Why they ain't got no program for returning citizens so we can open a business?" Well, it should never be a program for you. It shouldn't be a program for anybody where you're taking taxpayer funded money to boost you. Okay? The only people I could see doing that is veterans because of the commitment and sacrifice.
But
even that has a lot of limits. I qualify for a lot of stuff.
Here's where iron sharpens iron. And brother, I love you, but here's where I kind of differ. I think government is not the end all be all. I do believe that there are spaces and places that the private sector should be in, and there's things that private sector businesses should be in that space and place to provide, whether it's human services or product. I just don't believe government should fill all of those spaces and places. I think that's how you grow. And I mentioned to you, a lot of your Fortune 500 companies started off with government grants or SBAs or this and that, and they evolved. They evolved to the point, and Doc, you and I both know, you don't ever always want to be on some government type of particularly grant. There's a difference between the grants and contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And Doc, the reason why I just have to disagree is because you have private companies out there that they're far more efficient with them getting the resources than government.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. What I'm talking about is the fact that government goes in to decide, and many of those choices are kind of arbitrary. They say we have a process. Then the next thing you know, XYZ company just got the contract. Mm-hmm. And they were launched 2 years ago. You've been around,
Brother Mondo. I know you're listening. Doc, he's in the psychology aspect, and he's goading me into this. I'm not gonna fall for the bait because
I'm not goading you into it. What I'm saying is,
triggered me.
Okay, well, hey, how about them Knicks, man? How about them Knicks? Let's talk about them Knicks.
Yeah, because boy, you get me. Hey, so Nah, Doc. Before we get to those Knicks, you got me on the edge of my seat, Doc. You mentioned something earlier about these new laws, and I said it's about 90 to 100 that are coming out. But here's something interesting. Citizens need to know the new laws that are taking effect because you, myself, and the general, we sat here when the new speeder law went into effect. And the same day it went into effect, Doc, didn't they arrest somebody for doing, and the speeder law that I'm referring to,
the 100 go to
the
jail?
100, yeah. And that same night we broadcast, some young person got arrested for doing 125. And before the new law went into effect, law enforcement could issue you a speeding ticket and you could go home. Now, you go 100 if you want to, the discretion is gone. You go to jail.
Yeah.
Don't pass go.
Trust me, you know I got the rocket ship, so I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted.
I saw your post.
I've had it up to 132.
I saw that.
But that was way before that law. That's when I first bought it. So and the top speed of that car is almost 170 miles stock. So there are guys out there that tune it, they get up to 200. But anyway,
but on a regular road, that's speed racer driving right there, man. That's driving whereby you got to know what you're doing, and the slightest mistake or error
will kill you.
Yeah,
it ain't gonna be no accident. It's gonna be.
You're right.
And that was why I did 132 and not 140 and 150.
And hey,
because that you have to know the limits of your skills. Okay, I'm not a hot rodder. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I grew up around friends. I had some white buddies when we stayed out in South Florida. That's all they did: hot rods, and go to the dirt track. And I hung out with them, but that wasn't my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wasn't getting out there drag racing.
But Doc, here's something. We're having this conversation back and forth, but one of the questions that Let's Talk Nation has is: are citizens being properly educated before the law changes go into effect? And I think we can all answer that question. That no, there's nothing out there. I remember when they had the 10-20 life. You remember that, Doc?
Yeah.
You use the gun in the commission of a crime, you get 10 years. No, you have a gun in the commission of a crime, you get 10 years. You use the gun in the commission of the crime, you get 20 years. And then if somebody is killed while you have a gun in the commission of a crime, you get life. That was something, Doc, back then was advertised before that law came out, and you knew the consequences. So there's a few, just speaking Orange County, and this is just something local when you talk about something of importance. You got affordable housing in Orange County in the Pine Hills area.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Emerald Villas, which is adding 90 affordable units in Pine Hills. Housing has been a major issue, particularly affordable and workforce housing. So, Doc, that's something that's taking place here in Central Florida. Central Florida storm season and flooding readiness. Doc, are you ready? Because we're in hurricane season.
Yep.
What do you do to get ready?
Well, we have a hurricane kit, so we got the lights. We have solar generators, and things like that. We have food packed out.
You say you have a solar generator?
Yeah. So my solar generator will power a lamp, a fan, and we charge our phones. I laid the solar panel out there in the yard, and we got power.
Okay.
So this year, after hurricane season, I think I'm going to prepare to get a larger one that can run the refrigerator. And they have them out there.
Yeah, but you know what? When we talk about preparedness, Doc, it's just not preparedness for. And I know you already know this. I'm just saying this for our audience, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not just preparedness for hurricanes. Preparedness for flooding, heat, and power disruptions that hit vulnerable families. And you talked about what you do for power, and that is interesting because solar is becoming a lot more available than it used to be. But here's some of the discussions that I think need to be had. What are our seniors, low income families, and renters? I mean, how is this information getting to them? Are they preparing? I mean, are they preparing to the level that they need to, considering, you know, we're in that time of the season? Do neighborhoods have a check-in system for elderly residents? That's another area that I think, when we talk about government playing a role, Doc, I'm not just talking
Yeah.
about the PSA. I'm talking about putting resources out there so that you have some feet that's on the ground, but those feet that's on the ground, educating, preparing, and assisting, you don't put them on the ground after you announce hurricane season is in effect. You put them in the ground. You put them on the ground way prior before that, and then should churches and not-for-profits become storm readiness hubs, whether it's a hub of information or if it's a hub for shelters. I mean, these are some of the discussions, Doc, that I think we need to have.
Well, I love that you said about this about the senior, because that's often uh, where communities struggle in providing security and safety for seniors in events like this. And you have to think about New Orleans. New Orleans
Mhm.
always comes to mind.
Yeah.
And you think about all of those seniors and vulnerable people who died unnecessarily then during Katrina.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so are we storm ready? Now I can tell you this: I'm proud of Florida, because Florida don't play. We never played about hurricanes.
Mhm.
Florida doesn't. For all the stuff they talk about, oh, Florida people on the beach having parties. No, those are people that moved to Florida. Yeah, homegrown. We know better. We
Yeah.
absolutely know better. We're not getting in the way. We're gonna make sure we got our sardines and our Vienna sausages and crackers, okay, and hot sauce.
That we're gonna be prepared for it, huh?
We're gonna be prepared, and we
No.
ain't gonna be running around out there taking selfies and stuff in the rain, okay?
Hey,
So that's how a street sign get fly and slap you and kill you.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. Hey, for those of you who are watching Let's Talk Nation, and Doc, if you would get us streaming across the bottom of it, please, you can call in if you have some input. That phone number is 407-921-6195. Hey, Doc, here's something else for you. Supreme Court decisions coming before the end of this term. The United States Supreme Court is expected to issue major decisions before the term ends, including cases involving birthright citizenship, election rules, transgender athlete bans, gun rights, and presidential power. So those are some major, major issues, Doc, that supposedly rulings are going to be made before the end of this term.
So what do you think is going to happen with birthright citizenship?
I can't even call it, Doc. I mean, uh, I've listened to arguments on both sides, and I mean, some of the argument, and this is the general's area, so I don't profess that I don't have any level of expertise on it, but uh, what we've been hearing a lot of is the intent of the founding fathers, and I think, Doc,
Mhm.
you really carried the conversation before. When there were discussion about birthright citizenship and what its original intent was. And if you could, Doc, uh, if you're comfortable enough, go into that, because I know some of the discussions that we had here when you talk about um, how birthright citizenship originated. It was back in the slavery days, so that
Mhm.
well, I guess not in the slavery days. Uh, when slavery was over, and it was intended for the children of slaves, to benefit from, Doc. So, what's your take on it?
Well, you're absolutely right. We have to understand that it was first announced as a remedy to address its 14th Amendment. It's a remedy to address that particular um, issue regarding uh, those newly freed people and where they belonged in the world. You can't say, well, we're going to pack them back up and ship them back, because those people at that point, many of them were born on American soil, and this gave them full citizenship rather than remain what was it, 2/5 of a person.
So what's your take, Doc? What do you think is going?
Well, I think that it's going to have to be. I think it's going to be reined in. It's going to be some changes made to it. I really do, because it has become a issue where people are coming here, right, and having babies, anchor babies. That's a real thing.
So, Doc, let me hit you with this. A lot of the discussion, revolves around revenue, finances, subsidies, things of that nature. And there's been a great deal of argument, Doc, that says on one end it talks about American taxpayer dollars being utilized, for individuals that were that their parents came here as illegal immigrants and they were born in this country. And I mean, the same thing cuts the other way, Doc, where you look at individuals that are contributing. So I don't know where it's going to go.
Well, we say, here's the thing that's wild to me. We easily say that unlawful, or I don't use the term illegal aliens. There's no such thing. Undocumented people. Okay, you have undocumented people here in this country, and we often hear the firebrand and the allegation that, oh, they here and they're getting our tax money. No, they're not. These people are paying taxes. If they're working, if they go to the store, they paying taxes. They pay sales tax. Okay, just like everyone else.
And Doc, I don't know that it's more so the argument, because you just brought something up when you say, going to the grocery store, things of that nature, buying gas. Again, Doc, that goes back to something you and I started talking about earlier. That's a consumption. I mean, exactly. So you're contributing to that. But Doc, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't even want to profess. But again, the other issues are going to be election rules, transgender athletes ban. That is something, Doc, I will say to you, I do strongly believe that there needs to be a remedy. And I'm not homophobic or anything like that, but I believe if you were born biologically as a male and you're competing in female sports, you have an advantage.
Well, here's where we get to. This is the problem with everybody getting a participation trophy, because we're afraid to hurt people's feelings, tell them the truth, and delineate lines and boundaries. This is the foolishness we deal with. I'm not homophobic. I don't care who you sleep with. I really don't. I'm not gonna. My personality is such that I'm not gonna mistreat somebody just because of what they believe and who they love. It's just not me. But at the same time, I do want to live in a place where common sense prevails.
And Doc, you say common sense. I'm gonna use the word fairness. I just, again, Doc, I will say, if you're born biologically as a male and you're participating in female sports, you have a
you've taken something from a female.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've taken their right. You've actually robbed them of their right to compete with uh, people in the same gender. So now we got you saying that your rights are being restrained, but you're willing to take somebody else's right so you can get your right.
Doc, you and I don't have a crystal ball, but I
Yeah.
do believe strongly that the Supreme Court is going to get this one right. I got to believe that they're going to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, it's time to put the brain back in the bird. It just is.
Hey, Doc, let me hit you with something that this is in your ballywag. Public health and middle age stress, and I'm not saying you're stressed. But a recent public health report summarized research findings that middle-aged Americans are experiencing more loneliness, depression, memory issues, and health struggles than earlier generations, with researchers pointing to financial strains, weaker social supports, and chronic stress. Doc, what's your thoughts on that? This is your area.
Okay. I look at it, what's going on, and through the lens of expectations. Everybody expects to be wealthy. Everybody expects to have the best. Everybody wants success. Success comes with sacrifice. So sacrifice is stressful. And we now live in a world with people that have no coping skills at all. They hate to delay gratification. They are unwilling to take responsibility in many instances, in many areas of their life. Wherever you are in your life, it's because you led you there.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is living your life. You're steering it.
You're absolutely correct. But here's a little rapid fire that I want to hit you with, Doc. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and put the angle out there first, if you would. But this is a quiet crisis. People are working, parenting, caregiving, and surviving, but not necessarily living well.
What's living? Okay, you got to quantify that. What does living well mean?
Good point. I can't. Yeah,
you can't quantify that. So my living well and your living well is very different now. And that's the problem when you see these articles and you see this kind of stuff out there in the media and stuff. It's disingenuous because it's trying to get you to believe something that's not there. And let me do a sidebar because I saw something very interesting. And I was trying to call you last night and I saw this, and I'm going to say this because I did see it. And this person put themselves on the back end of this issue. I saw Oprah do a round table or something where people were coming on there and saying AI told them to hurt themselves and engage in self-harm and all of that kind of stuff. And for me, it's just crazy because I know how AI works. First of all, AI is, we both use it. AI is stupid if you don't got it. Mm-hmm. It's not going to come to conclusions and ideas in and of itself. That's not how it works. What AI is what's called large language model. It has a depository, if you will, of huge amounts of data points. Okay. And based on the large language model, what happens is there is a weighted way in which it responds because one word usually precedes another. And it can put together what it calls a thought based on those words being joined. That's why it's called a large language model, meaning it's predictive language. You get what I'm saying?
Well, the AG in the state of Florida is taking ChatGPT to court on this issue because there has been some relevant issues of young people utilizing AI to commit serious offenses, and there has been some other situations, Doc, that so allegedly AI has encouraged individuals to harm themselves. So,
okay, and I get that. I see that, and that is patently false. That is absolutely patently false. It does not work that way. It's basically what you put in is what comes out. If you sit there and you keep talking about suicide and self-harm, the conversation is going to go on to suicide and self-harm. This is what you're putting in there, and
but here's the thing, Doc. Let me ask you this, because I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you this. You're saying it comes down to what you put in there. I think the AG's case is focused on children having access to AI and what just almost like social media platforms, Doc. They're making the case that maybe
where are the parents? Let's cut to the meat. Where are the parents?
You're right. I mean, when you look, I mean, because it's a platform. It's a platform.
If my mom gave us a TV, okay, got me and my sister a TV for our rooms, right? When we were first teenagers, and that's when cable was with the little slide thing. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my mom would regularly come in there and check what we were watching. Still, you get what I'm saying?
But Doc, here's the thing, and you and I and the general, we talk about this all the time. We had what you call it, Doc? We had parents then. We didn't have what you call them, Doc. I mean, we had big mama them back then.
Yeah.
What do you call it, Doc? You say now you got
the grandmama.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, the 35-year-old grandmama.
yeah. So you're right. There's so much loss from a generational standpoint and a parenting standpoint that I don't know if we ever recover it. But you know what?
And this and here's the huge thing that most Americans don't get. It's not racial.
Oh, it's not.
This bad parenting thing is not racial. It's not
correct.
One group. It's all of them.
It's everybody.
Overindulge. Yeah. We are seeing kids who are overindulged. There are kids that literally have their parents as hostages.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I don't have the answers to it, Doc. I wish I did. We talk about it all the time. But before we run out of time, we got to talk about what everybody's been talking about. And I'm going to tell you, I was sad that this ride came to an end the other night when the Knicks, I love how the Knicks was playing. I just wanted it to last longer because we never seen a series that had this much excitement. And Mondo Sometimes, Doc and I want you to chime in on this because, Doc, we were talking about, and I told you, Jalen, he is a superstar, the point guard for the Knicks. He's a star. But when I say, John Burns, the mistake people make thinking AI is real human and can make decisions for us, we think it can be responsible, what it isn't. And he's right.
Thank you, brother John Burns.
Right.
Matter of fact, we need to reach out to him and have him come on and talk about the Carmelo
you said that
Anthony.
last week. You called Brother Burns. You said it last week. But let's
I got to get a hold of you. I got to get a hold of you, John, because we really want to. Now we don't want you to go in the classroom. We want the human aspect of what that case meant.
John, we'll get you next week because we only have 10 minutes left, and we got to talk about these Knicks. We got to talk about leadership. We have to talk about the fact that everybody is talking about back in the day with LeBron James, God bless him, Kobe Bryant. You got Magic Johnson. All these mega
Isaiah Thomas.
No, man, come on. I'm glad. See, you did that intentionally. Hey, John, Mondo, I'm not going to put Isaiah Thomas in that. He was a good player, but he was no superstar.
No.
Yes, he was.
Okay. He was on a Kobe Bryant level. He was on a Kobe Bryant level.
He's often considered the best point guard to ever play the game.
Man, he was a bad boy, and I'll give him that much.
Yeah, boy. I love Detroit back then.
I'm glad you started this thing, Doc. Mondo, jump in here. John Burns, you can
And
jump
I
in.
couldn't stand. I couldn't stand the Knicks.
But you know what? They played as a team. They got this championship as a team. John Burns, call on in because you can talk about team. Hey,
I was hating.
you know, because
I was hating the whole time.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Mondo?
I was hating the whole time. I was hating the whole time. I was sitting there watching it in despair.
So you was going.
I never. It was one window where I was a Knicks fan for one postseason, and that's when the Knicks played the Bulls and John Starks.
But hey, he was a baller.
Hey, that was the best. That was the best series.
Okay, so Doc, let me ask you this question. And I know, when you talk about Starks, would you put Starks in that category of being
No, not even close.
So you're helping me make my point. And my point
is not, because Starks was not on an Isaiah Thomas level.
Okay, well,
Thomas won.
Let me say this. My whole point, because people who are listening to it, my whole point.
Doc will come out with receipts, right?
The Knicks won this championship as a team. You done had NBA owners.
I'll give them that. I will give them that.
NBA owners that tried to buy championships. When you looked at stacking a team with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, I can't remember who the big three was for the Miami Heat back then. Then you had Shaq and Kobe, and he did get one. Didn't Shaq get one with Kobe? A championship?
Yeah.
But
he got two, I think.
But this Knicks team, and I'm not a Knicks fan. I was not a Spurs fan, but what I loved of what I watched was a unit operating together. Even when they were down, they believed in themselves and they operated as a team.
Hey,
you got a 7'4" inch Wemby who his span is 10 feet, 2.5 inches high, and the NBA rim is only 10 feet high. So why not run through the paint, and alley-oop all night long?
Because that's not how basketball plays. It's a team sport.
Mike Brown ain't gonna allow it.
Hey, Mondo said Mike Brown ain't.
Mike Brown ain't gonna allow it.
Listen, that's the two. That's one of the two hidden stories. The one hidden story of this was: did you see how the people of New York came together? All races, all cultures, all of that. And I saw a guy say his mayor's a Muslim, his bagel is Jewish, and the Knicks are the world champions.
And after 53 years.
Yeah, and that joy I'm happy for the people of New York because, especially Spike Lee, they're talking about giving him a championship ring. So
hey, he was a dutiful fan now. He was committed. He was committed. Even though, I Spike Lee is a character in and of itself, but you better believe he stuck with them through thick. And they should give Spike Lee one of those rings too.
I'm pretty sure he will.
You think so, Mondo?
Yeah, they already people are already petitioning for him to get one. They say he's in the years that he's been a Knicks fan, he has spent over $10 million in associated.
10 million?
Yeah, in association with his support and fanship. You know how much he paid a season?
No.
For his tickets? $300,000.
It's interesting.
Doc, you know how much those tickets? I mean, and yeah, you're right. That's annual for his seats. But you know how much those championship tickets was going for? $6,000 and $7,000 and more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And those were the nosebleeds.
That's just to get in. That's just to get in. But man, like
but
I said,
Doc Armando, I want to, before we sign off, I want to get back to the point. And Doc, I know you want to fuss with me about Isaiah Thomas, but the whole moral of the story I'm trying to make is this team had a leader. And that point guard, he played. Hey, his dad is an assistant coach for the Knicks as well. So man, to see it become a family affair.
Yeah, but it's a backstory to that too.
What's
He
that?
played in the NBA. Yeah.
He played in the NBA, and then he was coaching, and he had some scandals come up. His dad did, and that kind of sidetracked. I mean, he's just returning to coaching, from what I understand. But it kind of I looked at this, and Wimby run mirrors Shaq's run here in Orlando.
Who does?
Wimby's.
I didn't know that.
Remember, Shaq came here, and they went to
Oh yeah.
the finals, and they won one game, and they really didn't gel. They were still a young team, and the Spurs are a young team, but the Spurs are a winning organization. They have a culture of winning, and I think that if they don't make these some drastic change, they have a nucleus of a team that can be like Tony Parker and them.
So
And
Doc,
when
so Doc, we got 3 minutes left. Tell me, and I'm gonna go to you, Mondo. But tell me, what do you think the biggest change the Spurs got to make in order to come back again?
it's not personnel, I think it's maturity. They got rid of Mike Brown. Did you know that?
I didn't.
He was their coach last year, and I'm happy for Mike Brown because this is the fourth time he's been at the precipice, and they push him out, and then the teams usually win. Now he went to New York and won against his former team.
Well,
And
okay. So Doc think it's maturity. Amanda, what do you think it is?
I think they need to stop being sore losers.
But you heard what he said, Mondo? I mean, you heard what he said, Doc?
Yeah, I think they need to stop being sore losers.
how they sore losers?
You
I
heard
think
about
they,
you heard about how they ain't shake nobody hand. They ain't shake none of
well,
the
they,
big
Oh,
they,
they
they
didn't
young.
shake, they didn't shake anybody's hands?
None of them.
They listen. They young. They were emotional. See, and this is what I'm talking about. People can't regulate their emotions well anymore.
Right. And that and you know who even pointed it out? Draymond even pointed it out. The worst one on the court. He even pointed it out. He even had a problem with it. But me personally, I think it's time for a lot of players on that team to get paid. So it's going to be some changes that happens, and I just hope that they're ones that can benefit them in the long run.
Okay, so Mondo, I heard you, I heard Doc, and for 1 minute, I'm gonna just tell you, and it's not even gonna take me a minute. Doc, you said maturity with the Spurs. Mondo, what was yours again? And be real succinct.
Um, just growth, you know what I'm saying? Development.
Okay, grow, develop. So you and Doc are basically saying the same thing. And here's what I will say. I will say both of you are correct. I agree with both of you. But here's the other thing I'm gonna say to both of you. Every year, there's talent that's coming out of college. There's superstar talent coming out of college. And every year, even the talent that's on these teams are continuing to grow and mature. So I can't just say the Spurs can get back to where they're at today based on just maturing because you got other teams maturing too. So that's my spiel on it. I think it's so competitive out there, Doc and Mondo, that I think it's anybody's chance.
But let me ask you this: do you think Wemby is a once in a generation talent?
I do.
Well, when you look at the height, come on, Doc. I mean,
I know, but still, the boy has a great basketball IQ. I mean,
Doc,
he does.
He knows jujitsu too. You know,
Yeah.
Hey, fellas, I told you and Mondo, y'all don't look at no clock. I told y'all this. Hey,
you started with the jujitsu. Hey, Rod, you went to the jujitsu. Doc done.
I'm a jujitsu us right
Mondo,
off this show
see how
tonight.
you do us.
And I told y'all this before the show started. But hey, for those of you who tuned in to Let's Talk Nation, these cats do this to me all the time. You got brother Doc Polite, who's always on top of his game, and you got Mondo sometimes. And Mondo sometimes, boy, I tell you, this cat stay up with the stock market and everything else. We appreciate you, Mondo, for keeping us in tune, especially with SpaceX. But to the listening audience, we're going to keep this train on time. Tune in next week, same time, same place. And Doc, Armando, y'all don't have to go home.
But
you got to get out of here.
We'll see y'all next week on Let's Talk Nation.